December 13th, 2013. So in that first J.R.R. Tolkien movie, release date of 2012, December 14th, Abraham Lincoln, directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Daniel Day-Lewis as Abraham Lincoln, will also be released. I'm thinking very close to the winter solstice. A perfect time for the resurrection and death of an American president. Lincoln was the 16th president, which is 4 times 4. Barack Obama is the 44th president. Lincoln began his presidency at a time when the United States was facing a huge crisis, and I would go as far as to say Barack Obama has taken office also in an hour when the United States is facing one of its greatest crises. Abraham Lincoln was, of course, assassinated 2012, not only the year for J.R.R. Tolkien next movie, The Hobbit, but also it's an election year in the United States with a lot at stake in America. The fever pitch will run awfully high. As you know, many have heard the broadcast on A View from Space on AM 640 over the past 3 or 4 years. I've mentioned it a few times that Vedic astrology, which has its roots in Persian astrology, that the 44th president dies in office. Abraham Lincoln is released on the election year. Numerology, sacred geometry, astrology are the Illuminati's guides. Are always calling the shots. So the stars themselves, you have to believe, will decide what happens. All, of course, designed to bring about this new world order, this one world government, this one world global economic system, one central bank, essentially, and one religion, ultimately. Heath Ledger has been used his whole career for a symbol of goddess worship. The symbol for the goddess of Venus is the pentagram. He died ritually in a pentagram in New York City, known as Five Corners. In the movie The Brothers Grimm, Heath Ledger is seen drawing that pentagram shape on the floor of a stable. Heathcliff resonates very strongly with the symbolism associated in general and specifically with the goddess, including the pattern of the path that is mapped out by Venus in its orbit around the sun. This pentagram symbol has many associations, but I'd like to stick to the main two. Plato and countless others in the ancient world knew that the morning star had another incarnation as the evening star, or Venus. In his classic The Golden Bough, J.G. Frazier wrote, Sirius was the star of Isis, just as the Babylonians deemed the planet Venus the star of Astarte, who, by the way, is known by many more names in different empires. Same spirit, Astarte to the Babylonians, Ishtar to the Mesopotamians, Isis to the Egyptians, Venus, Athena to the Romans. To both peoples, apparently the brilliant luminary in the morning sky seemed the goddess of love and life, come to mourn her departed lover or spouse and awaken him from the dead. Like the lesser-known Astraea or Starry One, the Libyan goddess of the new law who dispensed the fates of man, the beauty and truth of the deity Venus was believed to be visible in the evening star, the opposite and equal to the morning star Lucifer. You see, Satan is both male and female. It's even in the stars. The deity Venus, visible in the evening, the morning star for Lucifer, visible in the morning. But this distinction was so subtle for the pagans' new enemies called the Christians, and a great blurring between the feminine principle and the evil one soon took place, eased in its passage by the Romans who refer to Venus as Lucifera, the Enlightener. Venus, the archetypal of the arts of love and women's secrets, and unashamedly sexual deity. Venus is from where the name venereal came from, our venereal diseases. And venery came from the word Venus also, and even some say the origin of the city of Venice came from Venus, the city of her element, known as Stella Maris, Star of the Sea, a title she shared with Isis and much later with the Virgin Mary, as paganism was enveloped by Christianity and the two mingled. Originally, like Diana, Venus was a huntress, a lady of animals, whose horned consort was Adonis, both the hunter and the sacrificial stag, which became venison, or Venus's son. Once again, the line becomes blurred between horned gods and their consorts, their lovers, and once again the goddess is associated with animals, sexual secrets, lust, and Lucifer. So, if you strip back down to the basic elements in the movies, and in this case, Heath Ledger movies, you look for symbols that confirm and complement other observations which link Heath Ledger to Rennes-le-Château and its associated mysteries and word puzzles, or whatever you want to call them. You can still use equations to help see through the veil also. For instance, Heath Ledger equal to Venus equal to Rennes-le-Château, which brings in Berenguer Saunier, a man who died on the very same date as Heath Ledger. If you're talking Berenguer Saunier, then Of course, the Merovingian bloodline equates to that. The returning goddess Mary, Isis, Stella Maris, the star of the sea. The pentagram, the hunter. All with links and connections with one another. So you can also make a similar type of equating, which gives the other side of the coin. Heath Ledger, the pentagram. Lucifer, the Lightbringer. The returning beast. John the Baptist, or Jesus Christ. The evidence or proof needed to substantiate these links. You don't have to look any farther than to some scenes in just 3 of Heath Ledger's films, which I'll cover when I return on A View from Space on Talk Radio AM 640.
He goes deeper into today's headlines than anyone else dares to go. But you can take it. This is A View from Space with the Spaceman on AM 640.
Spaceman AM 640. And A View from Space, you can email me at space@640toronto.com or spaceman@640toronto.com. Thanks for the ones I've already received. They start to come in before the show even starts. So the evidence of proof that you look for to link all of the things I talked about just before the break, you don't have to go any farther than just a few of Heath Ledger's earlier films. The 3 movies are The Brothers Grimm, Ned Kelly, and A Knight's Tale. The Brothers Grimm was directed by Terry Gilliam. As a matter of fact, he was the actual director for the very last movie that Heath Ledger started, however never finished. Of course, he died while it was still being made, which was the Dr. Parnassus movie. Now, it was called The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. Gregory Jordan was the director for Ned Kelly, and A Knight's Tale was directed by Brian Helgeland. There's a scene from the Brothers Grimm movie, directed by Terry Gilliam, who, incidentally, was about to shoot 40 Days and 40 Nights when he died, which they changed the name to Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. In this scene, Heath Ledger has just drawn the pentagram on the ground with chalk and then proceeds to bless it with a fake sacred sword. In the opening sequence of the scene, you see the entangled serpent nailed to the timber mantle directly above the logo of the film company. The logo they choose to use is, of course, the pentagram with the severed head of the goddess. Also, the date is 1796, which is 20 years after the formation of the Bavarian Illuminati of 1776. Yes, the very same year as America was founded. The area described in the film is that of Bavaria. At the time of the movie, the French had occupied this part of Bavaria, and the German people are thought of as backward, superstitious peasants. The Brothers Grimm logo is, of course, a large G, which is also one of the main symbols for Freemasonry. Now we come to the first of many scenes that are very prophetic. The way the scene was composed by the director, Terry Gilliam. At the exact moment some men are still on their horses, Heath Ledger's head is positioned in the perfect position, and you end up with a shot that looks as though, seems as Heath Ledger